What's going on, guys? Noobs here. Happy New Year's, Merry Christmas, Happy Boxing Day, etc. I've been slacking a bit on the videos. It's been a long time since I was actually in front of a camera, so apologies if I'm a bit rusty today, but of course I would never miss everybody's favorite video of the year, which is, of course, my predictions video for next year. Tradition dictates that before I can make my predictions for next year, we have to review how I did with my predictions last year. In other words, my Nintendo predictions for 2018. Let's see. Well, I said there would be a January Direct, but that was a joke. It had already been leaked. But I thought it was going to be a big blowout Direct and really outline another awesome year for Switch. Not really the case, is it? It was actually a mini Direct at the time. And, actually, Switch had a bit of a down year. And granted, a down year compared to 2017 was still pretty good and still a lot better than a lot of past years on other Nintendo systems. But I guess I won't really give myself that one. I said I thought the big games of 2018 were going to be Kirby, Yoshi, Fire Emblem, Metroid Prime 4, and Pokemon. Those were ones we knew about. And then I said as well they're going to announce and release Smash Brothers and Animal Crossing. Well, obviously I was right about Smash Brothers. They did announce Animal Crossing, although we don't know anything else about it. It certainly didn't come out this year. And weirdly enough, we still don't... I mean, it's crazy to think a whole year has passed and we still don't really know much about Metroid Prime 4, Fire Emblem, the other Pokemon game. It's crazy. There's still so many questions about that stuff. Okay, I said Monster Games was going to be working on Donkey Kong Country Returns 3. No. I said Next Level Games would be working on Luigi's Mansion 3 or Mario Strikers. Well, Luigi's Mansion 3 is happening. I don't know if they're the developer, but I'm going to give myself this one, all right? That's the point for me. I said Retro's next game would finally be revealed. It would be a new IP. It would be an online shooter. That sure didn't happen. I said we get Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask 3D ports for Switch. That did not happen. I said third parties and indies will continue to ramp up support. And I said specifically successive Doom will trigger a rush of FPS ports. That didn't happen. But look, I'm going to give myself a point for this one too, because actually third parties and especially indies have really continued to ramp up. We are, despite it being a bit of an off year for Nintendo, man, compared to, again, it's all relative, right? I realize the Switch is still not seeing the level of third-party support that the other two consoles are getting, but compared to other Nintendo systems, past Nintendo systems, it's doing pretty well. So, I'll give myself that point. Oh, and I said the Rogue Squadron trilogy that was developed for Wii and never released would come to Switch. That did not happen either. Disappointed. I said no new hardware, just lots and lots of controller variants. That is a big check mark. Yes. Point for me, please, on that one. Yeah, so I said we'd have the return of the NES and SNES classics in time for Christmas, which, yep, point for me. I said no new mini console this year, which was also correct. Having said that, I said it would be because Nerd, the guys who did the emulators for the other minis, were going to be working on Switch's VC replacement, or whatever classic game thing that was going to be. I don't know who's working on those NES Switch games, but whatever. I don't get anything for that. I predicted that Switch's paid online service would release in March. Boy, very much wrong about that one. I think at some point it was supposed to come out in March. I don't know. That thing got pushed around and delayed and reimagined so many times, but it finally came out in September, so no. Oh, I said the big revelation for the paid online would be not just NES, but Super Nintendo, N64, Game Boy Advance, and GameCube games would all be on the service, and we get one of each added every month. That is a big nope. And then, and I don't even know what I'm going to do this year, but as was always tradition, I wrapped up the video by predicting that we would get a proper account systems by the end of the year. And what I always meant by that was log out of one Nintendo system, log into another Nintendo system, and your stuff would just come with you. Well, they have more or less achieved that. Your purchases will come with you. That is actually a thing, and that was really the spirit of what I meant. But your saves will only come over if you're paying for the online subscription, and even then, not all games, including some very notable games, do not work with the cloud saves. But you know what? In any case, I'm going to give it to you, Nintendo. You really came through here. You can log out of one Switch, log into another, and your purchases are not lost to the void. Imagine. Wow. All right, so I actually did pretty well last year, I would say, I think I actually did better than I normally do. I was probably just less optimistic, to be honest with you. But you know what? I'm going to be crazy optimistic for 2019. So let's jump into the predictions, finally. I'm going to say, and this is kind of becoming a tradition, that we will once again have a January Direct. I think it'll be a big one this time, though. Very much unlike last year's. I think it'll be on or before, I think though on January 11th to coincide with the release date of New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe. Look, they're not going to reveal everything, obviously, all in January. They got to save stuff for E3. But I do think they're going to lay out definitely some of the big titles for throughout the year. Give us, if not release dates for everything, at least some release windows for a lot of these, quarters, including the Yoshi game. That's finally going to come out, right? Luigi's Mansion 3, Animal Crossing, Fire Emblem, Bayonetta 3, but Metroid Prime 4 and Pokemon won't be there. They gotta save it. They gotta save some stuff for later, right? I do think, though, that they will announce here the rumored ports of Metroid Prime Trilogy and Skyward Sword, both for Switch, obviously. And you know what? I think the big twist on Skyward Sword is that the controls won't suck this time. Then for E3, this is where they're going to announce the rumored hardware revision of the Switch. I'm going to say that it'll be obviously the same dimensions as the current Switch because they want it to work with obviously the Joy-Cons and the dock and everything else, okay? But it'll be more powerful. The handheld screen will be 1080p this time. And I think actually the screen will be physically a little bigger too because even though they have to keep the dimensions the same, there's a lot of bezel on the current Switch, right, that they could increase the size of the screen a bit on there too. As for a name, I don't have a specific prediction, just that it will be better than New Switch. Probably just Switch XL, though. It won't replace the current Switch. It'll be sold alongside it, and the current Switch will become kind of the budget option. Similar how they've done like 3DS XL, right? I think the new one will come out and it'll be the same price as the Switch is now, and then the old Switch will get a price reduction. And finally, we will have a budget option in the Switch line, and 3DS can finally quietly disappear. And then obviously D3, this is where they're going to reveal Metroid Prime 4 properly. It'll come out this year, 2019, I predict. November launch, of course. And I'm going to say that this will be a Switch XL or new Switch enhanced game, just meaning it'll have better graphics on the new Switch as a bit of a selling point for the new system. Also, probably with the new hardware, I expect a few games will get patches just for improving resolution or little graphics improvements. Less so from Nintendo, more so from third parties. Okay, now obviously we are getting the new Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe port in 2019, but I mean Nintendo has not been shy with the Wii U port so far. I think this will be the year of Pikmin 3 finally getting a port, and I'm going to say alongside a Pikmin 4 announcement. Why not? Optimism. I'm going to say also a Super Mario 3D World port. Just because I think they're alternating 3D and 2D. This is my logic. So because we'll have new Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe on the system, the next Mario they'll do will be 3D again, which means 3D World port. I'm going to say that Square Enix will remember that Final Fantasy VIII exists, and magically that will come out alongside all those other Final Fantasy ports that they announced. I'm going to say that the Resident Evil 2 remake will come to Switch after all, but it will be a new Switch exclusive. I predict that Retro Games finally gave up on making a new IP or a new game idea. And you know what? Actually, we're getting Donkey Kong Country Returns 3 from them after all. Much to the annoyance of many people on the internet, but I won't personally be complaining. I'm going to say we're going to get a new 2D Zelda game. It's not, so we're not going to get one huge Zelda game this year, but between the Skyward Sword port and then a new 2D game, it'll be still a pretty good year for Zelda. I think it'll be kind of in the Link to the Past, Link Between Worlds kind of style or vein of game, which I would personally love. Oh, and then obviously we know there are more Pokemon games coming. And I guess it's been said that they'll be the proper next-gen Pokemon games for their, hardcore fans. But and I think that all of that will happen this year, 2019. But my prediction is that they're still going to change up the catching mechanics. It'll be similar to the Let's Go games, but there won't be any motion controls, thankfully. Oh, and I will say that Pokemon Bank will come to Switch and work with these new games, as well as I think the Let's Go games will be patched to work with Pokemon Bank as well. Because right now, Pokemon Let's Go games are some of the games that don't work with cloud saves. I think it's for a reason beyond just them worrying about cheating or whatever. I think they want you to pay for the Nintendo subscription and the Pokemon subscription. Okay, a few more predictions here. As I said, this is it for 3DS this year. Truly, finally. We have just a handful of games already announced for it. Bowser's Inside Story, Kirby's Epic Yarn ports. So those will trickle out, and then we'll truly be done. There will be no 3DS 2020 games announced in 2019, at least from Nintendo, obviously. But I think the reason that they'll finally move on, though, is because of the Switch hardware revision. They'll feel like finally we have a more budget option on the market with two Switch models out there, and they can finally forget about 3DS and just be all in on Switch finally. And yeah, I don't know what to say at the end of these videos anymore because I can't predict the online system anymore. So I'm going to say no more classic consoles this year. They'll just be like, you know what? Play what's on Switch already. And the selection of those NES online games will continue to suck with the same whatever they've been doing, 3-4 NES games a month. And yeah, they are like getting to be more interesting NES games, but they're still NES games. Like, there's only so much you can do with that, right? And I think they're going to stick with just NES games this year. That is a down note to end on, isn't it? But anyways, that is my prediction. So there you go, guys. Let me know what you think of all my predictions. And then obviously, what do you predict from Nintendo for 2019? Let me know in the comments, and thanks for watching.